Hello, and welcome to another episode of In My Experience with yours truly, Christine DeGinto. This podcast is a space where I speak from lived experience. The moments that shaped me, challenged me, and changed the way that I understand myself in the world. The awakenings, the breakdowns, the moments that cracked me open, asked me to stay present, be embodied, and be honest with myself. I share my stories not to persuade or define truth for anyone else, but to offer perspective, to explore the gray areas we don't often have language for, to slow things down and listen more closely to what's happening beneath the surface. You'll hear solo episodes where I reflect on my own initiations, spiritual gifts, and the systems that tried to define me. And conversations with guests who have walked strange, beautiful, and sometimes painful paths of their own and come back with wisdom to share with us. I invite you to take what resonates, leave the rest, and trust your own experience as valid. Thank you for being here. This is In My Experience. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of In My Experience. Today I have a reading to share that was done by Eagle Skyfire about 20 days or so after I had the first reading with her that was recently shared a couple of episodes ago. That was done in January. So I think this was recorded January 28th, 2022. And I think there are like 3 or 4 readings that I did with her after that between then and 2024 that I'll be sharing along the way. The reason that I enjoy sharing these recordings so much is I believe it gives you, as my listeners, insight into me and my journey in a way that I could never form in words to describe on my own. So I appreciate so much the feedback that I receive from Eagle Skyfire, her guidance, her explanation of the native way, and her support in continuing to grow and shift naturally at my own pace and in my own time. So again, I'm excited to share this with you, and I would love to hear your feedback. Like, rate, review, subscribe, send me an email, send me a direct message on Instagram. My Instagram is @HyacinthHealing. You can find Eagle Skyfire online at Eagle Skyfire or eagleskyfire.com. Search on Instagram and Facebook. She's on there. Now, without further ado, let's get into it.
And I understand that it's the reading of harmony for today?
Yes.
Okay, great. So before we get too cozied in, as you know, we always start and end with a blessing, as you know. So I'm going to ask if you could stand up with me just for the first part. If you could cup your hands over the center like this. Perfect, we'll begin. And like Ketcha, within your hands you hold the sacred stones from the Wheel of Life. May your guardian spirit guide your hands to show you the path of greater harmony and kindly to remain this way. I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. I'm going to gently move your hands in a circle. So let go of your hands, keep them moving, and let the stones fall a little bit at a time. So put your hands a little bit lower to the cloth. Good, just like this. Great. Thank you. Have a seat. Okay. And then from what I'm just trying to recall, did you need for me to refresh your memory with the reading of harmony with the different elements and so forth?
No.
Okay, great. So I can just jump on in. All right.
Well, maybe. Yeah, why
Okay.
not, actually?
All right,
Please.
sure, since we're here. All right, so again, in Native culture, like many other cultures, we believe that there's 5 elements. The greatest one is spirit. All things come from and return to spirit. Fire, which is breath of creator, the life force. Air, which is thought. Water, which is heart. Earth, which is the physical body and the environment. And then there's the other expressions. We also believe that there's 2 basic forces. So any stones that are pointing clockwise, we would call sunwise, is order. Anything pointing against the sun or counterclockwise is chaos. There's always chaos before new order. Any stones that are going in the same direction as the spirit stone is in harmony, and that which is not is out of balance.
Okay.
Right? So with that, I'd rather, again, you walk side by side together.
Okay.
And as you know, you're always welcome to questions, as you know. So what I think is very, very fascinating is the way your guardian spirit put basically all of the stones in the south, very strongly to the southeast, but south, except for the spirit stone and the stone of fire. So I want to talk about that right off the bat because it is significant. So spirit always talks about the karmic axis way that your personal river is flowing. The fact that we're going against the sun is things are being done in a new way, right? So it wouldn't surprise me if you were to tell me that things are interesting right now, okay? But let's talk about what surrender is because this is very, very important. Here, the spirit stone is in the place of surrender and going against the sun, which means, I'm going to say, knowing how to participate with it. So surrendering to the process of change that you have started, right? And you've done enough inner work, you've done enough, I'm going to say, initiations, that now the universe is responding back. So I always liken it to a dance where you led the step and then your partner leads, and then from that you go to the next. So with this idea of surrender is don't fight everything that you have brought up to this point. We're going to talk in more detail about everything. But here it's with the idea of, and it's funny because again, I always see energy lines, not just physical stones. Yes, each of these circles represents a teaching animal. This is serpent, but I'm also seeing an energy line towards raven. So let's talk about this and more about how to participate with surrender. So serpent medicine it's nice because this is letting me know that you are the last little remnants of shedding off the old itchy skin.
Okay.
You know? And that's usually when snakes can get the most irritable because it's like these little bits, like this. But it also, when I saw it, I'm sure you're familiar with the Kundalini, where the serpent of life, and then the rising of the Kundalini, like this. So it's letting me know that you are being successful, that this is the path that you are on. From a Native American standpoint, it's not just a reclaiming of personal power. It is a claiming, we say, of your marks, your markings, which means the I am, how you move through the world. Being authentically you, with being unapologetic, being sensitive, of course, but you know what I'm saying. And finally, with that, being who you are, doing what you want to do. There's no hiding it anymore. So again, that's by claiming your markings along this way. Seeing a strand of energy towards Raven is reminding you not to be so serious all the time.
Okay.
You can be like you're carrying the world on your shoulders all the time. And Raven talks about, it's a gentle reminder, and pardon the language, that life is so important to take it so damn seriously all the time. And from your guardian spirit, you do have what I call some Raven people around you where they're serious in helping you. They've demonstrated they love you, but they've also are reminding you that to live your life more balanced. Remember why you're doing this, not just to get to a goal, but the quality of life. So this is, not just completing this whole process, but the Raven, in your specific case, is also now it's time to focus on the quality of what you want into the future. So I know things might be a little tumultuous, but keeping this focus, it's going to land you there. So I liken it to driving. I don't know if it ever happened to you where, if you notice, you think you're looking straight, but if you're looking slightly off, the car starts veering off.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't even think until, whoa, right? That's what this is. Keep your eyes to where you're going, just like when you're driving, because then you start veering off like this. So surrender in this particular regard, and then we're going to go to the specific areas that you wish, is, again, you've done the initiation, the universe is now responding back. And in this response, it's a sorting out. It's the final shaking and sorting out. So that you can feel, I'm going to say, at peace with your choices. You can feel completed in that leg of the journey. And again, with your Raven people, the new opportunities, giving you enough incentive and curiosity to move forward. So again, you are a sentimental person, but make sure you honor all of your emotions equally, not just the serious and going this way. So that's what surrender is. It's not a giving up. It's an awareness of how to participate with the transformation. So in your specific case, keeping your eyes where you're going, and the quality that you're right now working on the quality of what you want at the other side of this, and the qualities interwoven with living your authentic life.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I'm just going to do this for a moment. I realize the phone is by your ear. Let me move that. So
Okay.
yeah, because I think the last thing needs somebody closer to the shop. Forgive me. I should have asked Bev to move that. I don't want you jumping and the recording people. So I'll put this over here. I don't know how to silence it, so I apologize in advance. Okay. Any questions so far before we go with fire?
No.
Okay. So with that, you can see that fire is completely out of balance. You can see creators going this way, I'm doing the other thing. So, but for me, this is normal at this stage. Let me explain why. Right? It's normal because this is the first time, at least in this lifetime, that you are beginning to create and live new frames of reference. You don't really, through your Raven people, you're getting some people that you can look up to, or as guides. But for rebuilding your life as the way that you're doing it, you really haven't had any. So for me, this we're going to talk about where to place your fire, just your life force and your energy. It's a very normal thing because it's very much like I'm going to say to the younger folks, like having my daughter try to drive a stick shift. She's been a driver now for several years. Put her in a stick shift, it'll be a whole other ballgame. You know what I mean? So here, in order to bring this back into harmony, is the buffalo spirit. I think it's very interesting that all three lessons of the buffalo are being highlighted. So these are meant to be as guides. So we told you what to look for. Keep your eyes on your quality of life and not being so heavy. More expressing and being your authentic self mindfully. But where to put your energy so that you feel, not only as if you're going somewhere, but that you can feel like you're getting back as much as you're trying to put out. I don't know how else to say. So the first thing about buffalo medicine is the white buffalo, is aligned with what they would call here the higher consciousness or the Christ consciousness. She would be the one, so this is the divine feminine coming from this way, but she also taught Native people that things have to be practical and spiritual at the same time, or they're not worth doing, which is why our ways are simple how many hundreds of years later. So while you're engineering your life, you're very spiritual. You're very, very sensitive. And that needs to be honored. That needs to be incorporated in everything that you do. And the people who are going to be closest to your heart either A, have to be of your tribe, similar kindred spirits, or even if they're not of your tribe, that they can be respectful. And I don't mean, disdain with a thin veneer of. I'm not talking about that. So what is good is that once you put your energy to that which is practical and spiritual at the same time, the buffalo, for especially the Plains nations, would provide food, clothing, shelter, tools, medicine. A couple buffalo could help save a tribe. And, those Plains winters are ferocious, So what this talks about is as you put your energy here, we're going to talk about these lessons and then the specific questions you have. It's not just a matter of feeling good, like you're going to be able to see a building of prosperity. And I don't mean just, money. So I'm talking about the wealth money cannot buy, like real prosperity. You're going to be able to see the routines and rituals that will now make sense going into the future. So she's a hands-on. So the best way I can say to you is, When I say you're learning how to hunt buffalo, it's a technique you're learning, and a native way is learning to give back and receive. Well, you're actually learning how to receive. You used to give too much. This is just learning to receive. Any questions so far before we go to your specific questions?
No.
Okay.
I might have questions overall later. I kind of want to just
You got it.
Hear.
You got it. You got it. So it's interesting because she usually doesn't do this to me. So I'm going to mention the 3 lessons, because these 3 lessons, we call the virtues or blessings, are going to help for you to distinguish. There's a lot of discernment that needs to take place for the rest of it. So the first one, you're just about done. Like, so you're doing the last cobwebs, but you need to, what I'm being told by your guardian spirit is now you need to articulate them. So the first step is cleansing. You're done. There's nothing left for you to sacrifice. Okay? It's not that. This is now being able to honor yourself and what you've been through and say, now let me begin to articulate, not only what did I just clean out of my life, but from that being able to say and articulate what I don't want in it ever again. So you begin with the cleansing piece. It's not just saying qualities, it's appreciating the process so that as you go forward into the future, you don't have to go through all this, bruising and things that happen. You can begin to go, oh, I know the steps of this dance. And I know how to cut things before they even have to get messy.
Yeah.
So this is the first step of cleansing. And what cleansing also does is, because you have so many opportunities coming up to you, it helps to keep things, again, remember, simplicity is one of the things she teaches us. So from here, it allows for you to make it very clear what belongs and what doesn't belong. You're just clearing the way. Even if there's too much opportunity, you can have too much of a good thing. It's just do this. So the second step is renewal. In your specific case, it is really a reclaiming. It's a reclaiming that will ultimately result in the spirit of the East. The rising sun is a rebirthing. So it's really a beautiful thing. So let's talk about what that means. The renewal, this is the renewal of your spirit. The renewal of catching your breath, faith in life, that. But in your space, it's also a reclaiming. The reclaiming of what? The I am. And how you want to live your life. So for the first part is, again, that cleansing, keeping it simple, clearing the way. You exhale. Last I checked, you need to inhale too. So here, you can now begin to define, because of the people who are now in your tribe, now with where you are growing, you can begin to get, even if it's just seeds, to begin to describe. And that's what your guardian's saying is, I'm going to say many small things. So let me describe what your guardian is showing me. Because you can be too hard on yourself and you still get hung up with that. So let me describe what your guardian says. So what I mean by many small things, and this is meant in a positive way, you're not being pecked to death by ducks anymore. Okay? Is think about what you want to reclaim. So even if it's a seed like, I know I just want to have more fun in my life. Okay, that's a seed. And then from that seed, well, let me explore what fun means to me. And then from there, you meet people. And then you can see, simplify who belongs, and then growing a friendship. Do you see what I mean? So it's many small things versus having this big. And again, it makes sense. You're learning how to walk again. So you're finding your dots. What do you value? What are your dots? And then from there, you're learning how you want to connect those dots. What takes priority when? So this, for me, again, that's why I'm smiling. It's very, very normal. As human beings, we can get very impatient with it. It's can we just get there, please? But think about from a greater karmic stance. You've asked to be allowed not only to live life on your terms, but to discover your own pace. This is all part of that, right? So again, we go from a cleansing to renewal with you. It's also a reclaiming, the I am. The final step is purity. And purity talks about how to maintain. You know, the one's sorting, the exhaling, the inhaling, is keeping a rhythm. So purity does not mean this perfect thing you can't touch in Western. Let's flush that one down. It's very frustrating. Never understood it. Don't even want to go there, right? For us, purity is, it's, you can even put that sense of authenticity, but let's talk about how the way the buffalo decides things, because this is a dynamic process. What you're learning is, even though you intellectualized it, you were hoping that, can things just take a stable form and sit there? Stagnation is what got you here to begin with, right? Ravens love to move, you know?
Like,
So-
what do you mean? Because I remember a few times being like, I actually need like time, and I'm fine with kind of suffering as long as I have my time to like decide and clarify and
Right.
do this on my own.
Right, but what your
Or-
guardian is trying to do is, well, what happened is you would kind of get, and I'm just going to repeat what your guardian is saying, you would kind of get stuck in a mode. So what we're trying to do with the purity piece is, like walking is a dynamic, it's balanced, but it's dynamic. It's a dynamic motion. So with purity, what this talks about is, you know, let's talk about the decision making, then come back to you. So we talked about maintenance. So the first two describe what you don't want, what you want. What this is, again, first step is universal. What enhances you, what diminishes you, and that's a cleansing part. Cleansing whatever diminishes you. However, to avoid this black and white tendency that you have, what purity means is that whatever and whoever in your life has demonstrated through their consistent actions that they're equally focused and committed to you and in the same spirit. So if by their actions they show that they're focused and committed and in the same spirit, then we go from this all or nothing to a spectrum. The ones that are faithful, let them be closer to your heart. Reward them. Then you have those who are, you know, friends, close friends, acquaintances, and you know where to put your energy, where to invest yourself, and paying attention. So, you know, you and I have lived long enough where, you know, people who were very close to us change, and then people that weren't surprise us, and they come closer. So what purity does is it allows for you to begin to, again, that keeping it simple and just having that awareness. It's not that everybody's to prove themselves every moment of every day, but just having that awareness. If they are truly being pure with you, you're focused and committed in the same spirit, then let them know that they're seen. You know? If they are ones that are focused and committed, but for the wrong reasons, let them know that you see them too. No, I'm doing the gesture of the horns at this point. You know, they get flying lessons. So if you use the path of the buffalo spirit, this is profound transformation. You can see how the thunder beings are here. This is profound transformation by your own hand, not through tragedy, not through life coming at you like this. And that's how to participate with this. So I know this is very long, but this sets everything up, not just for now. This is setting things up that can really actually be for the rest of your life. You know, so that's why the raven comes in, because all of this is very heavy, and Raven says, no, let's talk about the quality of things as well, that it's okay to be human, etc. So any questions or thoughts before we get into the more specific areas?
No.
Okay. I'm glad the brothers warned me about that. The brothers warned me. All right, so with this in mind, we're going to go with, and I'm going to go with these two that are here in the Southwest. The Southwest is the place, we say the power of storm, self-empowerment. And the reason why I'm going to take time explaining the sections of the medicine wheel is because they're so critical as to which element to use for what. So the Southwest the place of self-empowerment is, if I were to put it in nature, you know, when you can just feel, oh boy, there's a big storm coming. And it can be kind of exciting. And for me, I personally love it when there's a lot of crap in the air, and it can even be a snowstorm and everything gets clean and quiet. I love that. It's like, yes. One of the few times I can like the gold.
Yeah.
Everything's pretty.
Yeah.
You know? Or on a hot summer day and the storm is coming, it's like, yes, it'll cool down. And it's just been too damn bright. So what self-empowerment is all about is very specifically the reputation you built about yourself. You choose. So a lot of people think of reputations just with business and professional. Yes. But think it also on a personal level too. So this way your tribe can find you. You know? So it's not about, and I want to bash a myth so that we're on the same page together. Reputation is not about this whole perfection thing. That's bullcrap. Right? It's just that when people know about you, that they're receiving from you exactly what you want them to know about you. You know? And from that, it sends out the right signals and makes life, again, simplicity, like this. So the first one, the element of air, it's out of balance, but again, it makes sense. You're trying to figure out where to put your ideas. Literally, you would be, from a spiritual standpoint, you've been driving an automatic car and you're learning how to drive a stick shift right now, if I put it that way. So let's talk about what can bring this into balance. Right, so let me just read the lines. Okay, because I keep on seeing this it's almost like a pyramid of light between the loon spirit, grandfather turtle, and these two stones. It's like, I'm just keep on seeing like this pyramid of light. So let me talk about it. The element of air, and what your guardian is talking about, it's interesting because air is thought, and, you know, it's thought, communications, and so, but your guardian also wants me to put in your closer relationships to this as well. So, slow down. Got it. All right. It's like slow down. You're telepathic. I still have to use muscles and bones and airwaves. All right. I'm going to go
Like
here.
Me?
Yeah, well, your guardian's going, it's like, well, I can only talk so fast and make sense.
Yeah.
You tell your guardian, slow down. It's like, you're talking to me telepathically. I can't talk to her telepathically. Relax. All right. Let me
I
describe
would actually love that. I would love to like hear someone else and know that it's like I really heard them.
Yeah.
Because I feel like people can hear me and they act like they can't. Like that deception
That's
that
annoying.
happened. And so then it's like, no, I feel like not fair. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah. Actually, it's funny. I'm going to be covering that one in my workshops as we go forward on Thursdays. So let me talk about what these two represent, and then it'll help to bring the others in relation to. So grandfather turtle talks about he only knows one way, which is forward, and one way to look, which is up. Right? So he talks about that steady movement that we have in that way. And I think it's interesting because the best example I always give, I remember being taught to me, is like the forces of wind and water that work together. And people say, it's like, well, have you visited the Grand Canyon or the Pennsylvania Gap? You know, the force of wind and water. So what does this mean? Water means coming from your heart, speaking your truth. And wind is that communications and how you move forward in the world. So what you need to make sure is that everything is in alignment. You know, when you're walking your talk, which you do because you're an honest person, making sure that people are receiving that message. So let me give you an example with the big faux pas that I did. All right. I'm sure that you, like many people, are familiar with the stereotype of the Stoic Indian, the quiet, like this. And for us, again, if you're silent, it means, and you're just politely nodding, it means I honor the diva voice, but I'm not going to add my ears. So, but in this culture, especially dominant American culture, if you're quiet, that means it's great. Can you imagine the mess that creates? Or say, Skyfire, I thought you were fine with it. No. Because culturally I was wired in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So what this talks about, especially here, is making sure that when you're relating your message, factor in the environment and the cultural context. Factor in the lenses that these people are using. You're not trying to please them. You see what I mean? So that would be here. So, and again, the loon spirit talks about, again, I change the world through the power of my words, choose your words wisely. So now it's time to do that. So when it comes to your thoughts, begin aligning, again, your heart with how you articulate your thoughts. Let your actions be that same. When you're speaking, it's that and acting, making sure that people grasp, from their cultural or wherever their frame of reference, and you can teach them yours. It's not like you have to give up one for the other. This is all about building bridges. So when it comes to the closer relationships, this is, I'm going to nickname the ones that have been really your helpers, that have been your guiding lights through this. I'm going to nickname them your raven people, the ones been like holding the torch for you and guiding your way. Let them teach you more about this. Let them teach you more about this. For the people who are closer to you, let them in, school them. Let them understand what you're trying to accomplish. Ask them what they see. Because you finally have liberated yourself from the hook of need the people please or whatever. Any questions so far before we go here?
No, it's hard for me to I'm just really I just want to hear what you have to say, and then I know I'll think about it all later.
Okay, well, I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
That I'm articulating. So what this also does is, and your guardian wants me to go back to reputation, and we're going to talk about this as well. So what this talks about is where reputation, again, here is where you begin to craft how you want to be known, regardless of which professional, personal, intimate, spiritual that you want to be known as. And it's not just, she's a good person. How about some of your personality too? That sort of thing. So as you begin to go forward, and now we're going to go here with this one. And again, I always like to show here, it's not an open eye. It's a closed eye. But let me see, we're pointing at coyote. Okay. It's a closed eye, which means you understand everything I'm saying, but you don't quite see it yet, which is fine. But what this talks about when we're here is when it comes to being your authentic self, what does this mean? So remember how we talked about being able to articulate, who and what you are. I know you're still discovering it and you're talking about that. I had to laugh that coyote came in because, again, coyote, out of the 4 great keepers, again, you have the 4, coyote makes rules so he can break them. He's one of those. So once again, that idea of, and I'm doing the surfer gesture of hanging loose like this. He's like, it's okay. You're work in progress. Bringing in humor. So by bringing in humor, he talks about bringing in, what I'm going to say that inner child, not to be childish, but the qualities of the inner child, such as curiosity. The quality of the inner child of, and this is going to be going more with expanding yourself, but of being able to find allies. So I always joke about, go to any culture in the world, just about, and when you're little, you see little kids, you want to play? Yeah. What's your name? This is my name. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's go. Mm-hmm. And they're like best friends, and then somehow we get older, like, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
Part of the life was like, what? But this talks about being able to have that spontaneity. that confidence that, you own yourself.
I used to be like that.
You're going to be reclaiming.
Okay.
That's the reclaiming
Yeah.
of it.
It's just like, now it's like, I don't know if I want to interact with you because you might like try to take my soul. It's like,
But this is all part of that
Okay.
discernment. That's that whole purity piece. The buffalo, she quietly watches your actions. And if you're consistent, then, and with that, with coyote, coyote's a trickster. He's one of our trickster spirits. So if you're saying, this person, I have to interact with them, but yeah, they might be a soul eater, then coyote will smile and say, look at Haley's comment. Go over here. And just put up, I'm going to say, a distraction. But let somebody else earn that space to be with them. But this is now reclaiming that confidence through doing of who you are in that way. And those qualities of that inner child that have healed and giving her place now in this manner. So yes, of course, the inner child, you're again, is to be protective. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Finding Nemo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, you don't want to be Marlin when Nemo ran away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let Nemo touch the butt.
Yeah.
Right, so this is where we're at. Any questions or thoughts here?
No.
Right, and what Coyote talks about, and then we're going to go to the others, is it's okay for people to see the other side of you. The reason why Coyote is insistent is because, again, you're learning to walk again. You learned to set up walls and hide. But now this doesn't serve you. You're in a different space now. So he uses humor. He'll use distraction if necessary, along that line. And that whole idea of, how you act is how people respond. In the way, so he's really emphatic about that, and I'll mention something to you that I remember that Donna is also my best friend. She's the manager here. She's also my business manager. I actually introduced her here, and being a spiritual teacher, and she wanted me to take the serious route. I said, to hell with that. And that's why I don't mind people knowing that I'm a gamer, that I drink tea, because heck, if the Dalai Lama can sit there laughing his butt off with a bucket of rum raisin ice cream, why can't I do something like that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what this is about. You don't lose anything from showing that other side of you. It doesn't make you any less respectable or serious, you see what I mean? Because the people who are worthwhile will understand that, and you're more relatable. And the people who see that as a weakness will show their hand, and to get rid of them right away. So Coyote's very clever that way. It's like, I'll make you think that I'm not paying attention. Meanwhile, I got your number before you even got here. All right, so any questions so far before we go on to here?
No.
All right, so this is very important, and again, that reputation is just a growing. It's not this perfect thing you have to live up to. It's what you want for people to appreciate about you. That's what it is. So I really have to emphasize that, because your friend says, oh, she's a perfectionist. There she goes. Right? I'm going to mention one more thing, and this is the obstacle piece. So we're going to start here. Let's talk about the obstacle piece, and then I'll talk about the southeast. You're at the point where you now need to begin distilling things. It's called distilling things. So who you really are is you like to do things right, and you like to do them to the best of your ability. That's who you are, all right? We don't want to stop that. We can't stop that. That's hardwired, all right?
Why is it so hardwired?
Well, it's part of what you came here for. You like making things right. You like making things work, right? The part that we need to distill, so that's your character. We don't want to get rid of that. We want to enhance that. But the part that we want to distill from that is this idea, the toxic idea of perfectionism. So you wanting to do things right and to the best of your ability, that's beautiful. That's pure. Keep that. But this whole idea that you can never make a mistake, standards that you can never live up to, that you have to be superhuman, okay, just put that in the whirly wash. All right, that is somebody else's idea of life. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So this is what this is about, is that idea of And that's why I laugh with the deer spirit, because the deer spirit talks about that self-love. It's allowing yourself to be real, you know, distill this idea of perfectionism, get rid of that, that's toxic, and say, you know what? If in my heart I'm competitive, I love trying to push myself and see what else I can do, and I balance it with self-care, you're going to get more joy out of that. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the deer spirit talks about, is talking about where there can be that self-love and that joy, and distilling the toxic element from it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a shadow side that came from somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And you might have people who are still stuck in that. But if you build that reputation of, guess what, people, I will give you my best, but I'm also going to keep it real. So if you're asking me for something, anything that's real that I can't do, I'll tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Take it or leave it.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that much more comfortable?
Yeah, definitely.
All
And
right.
I actually believe people and trust them more when they're like that. It's like, well, it's what they do. You do it the way they do it. Let them do it. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
like somebody who's like an artist, that it's like, well,
Yeah.
I'll do it when I do it. It's like, well, okay.
And then there's the balances that I agree, you do it when you do it, and I may or may not be here by the time you get done. You know, so that's all part of that balance.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of that balance. And so with that, let's talk about what the Southeast is about, and then we're going to get into the rest of it. All right. So with the Southeast, because these two go together, they really go together. The Southeast, the place of self-identity. So, and yes, I will. I just got the color. Yes, I'll talk about the color. All right. Anyway, no disrespect. So what the Southeast is about is, remember, this is now at a stage where you know all of this stuff, but now you're learning how to express it, so it creates a lifestyle. So the Southeast, if I have to go chronologically with life, you know, if we were to go with East being birth, hey, you got here, and this is childhood and youth to young adulthood, middle age, like this. So when you are in youth stage, right? Youth stage means that you don't know exactly where everything is yet. Okay? The value of this is that this is not your first go around, so you have a much better clue than the first go around. All right. Youth will try just about anything. Good news, you now have common sense. You know what I mean? Youth doesn't hold on to anything, and they always seem to gravitate to the things that have a certain theme or energy, right? These are things that you can use, right? So what the Southeast is all about is finding the extensions of yourself. Not that you fit into something.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So 3 questions always revolve around the Southeast. For you, you know who you are now. Right? So we see, who are you really? And again, how to express it would be the way. What are you really? You have a sense of it. How can we extend that further? That is updated. How and with whom are you going to share this with? You're now learning how to call your tribe. Do you see what I mean? So the reason why apparently you like colors, I like colors too, so that's where we're going to get into it. So this color here would be like the orange, like what a Buddhist monk would wear. You know how they wear that kind of like saffron orange. And it is a combination of red, the breath and fire of Creator Spirit, and air, like the glowing of the golden sun. So it is a combination of thought and giving it energy, giving what you're going to give life to, thoughts becoming things in this regard. So here, the good news is, and that's why your garden keeps on hammering this home, you like coming in, fixing it, creating stability. Right? Again, we don't want to change that.
Okay.
Right? But for you right now, remember, again, the coyote's going hang loose. You're discovering where your tribe is. You're discovering now where you want to set up, I'm going to say, your lifestyle, the people, you know what I mean? Like, you're beginning to flesh that out now. So the reason why this is important is I don't want you getting fixated too fast. If something resonates, pursue it. Again, there's that purity. Focus and committed and in the same spirit. And if it's consistent, own it. But if it's not, then you're able to clear it off right away. Any questions or thoughts or any specific areas that you would like for me to take a look at? Or shall we just continue to roll?
I'm really at a crossroads with, I already know I need to divorce my husband and like have a different life. Like I fully know that, but it's difficult for me how to describe it. It's difficult for me to take action against him because he kind of put me in a position where I have to fight to be free.
Yep.
So I have trouble because when I get aggressive, I get aggressive. Like I fight for.
I'd laugh. My brother said, "No, she's Godzilla."
Yeah, I'm
Godzilla mode activated.
I really do get, and I really am actively trying to like suppress that so that I can be peaceful and calm.
No, we need to change. We're going to talk all about that, but go ahead.
But I don't know what to do because I know that when I get like that, when I have those feelings, I can do like anything. So I know that that's where a lot of my power comes from.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to be angry or negative or mean. Like I don't want to have those traits, but I don't know how to fight.
You don't
back without being angry.
In native style, you don't. In native style, you don't. We'll talk about that's here because heart is out of balance, and heart's with the eagle spirit and synchronicity, and this is hawk spirit. The hawk spirit is I'm going to say he would be like the divine enforcer. All right, so let's talk exactly about because it's right here. All right, let me bust some myths on you. Right, at least I'm going to go from Native American way. Being pissed off and telling somebody you want them to F off doesn't make you any less spiritual, and it's not going to stain your soul.
Okay.
All right?
That's good information.
Seriously. Because if you feel like somebody's trying to bend you over a barrel, I'm going to use a family-friendly version, you just say,
Yeah.
Right? Anger has its place. Outrage has its place. Right? There's a reason why you feel the way that you do. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking here, not only because I've worked with you and so forth. This shadow side has risen for a reason. We're going to talk right about it. All right? It didn't come out of nothing. This is not who you usually are.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But there's a reason why she's here. Right? Look at any of the goddesses. They have their dark side.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So let's talk about this. So remember we talked about distilling things. So here, you have every right to be angry, right? Things did not have to be this way. Sadly, what you were forewarned came to pass, right? So let's use this anger, right? Ultimately, what is it that you wish to seek? Two things: freedom and justice. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Freedom and justice. So turn this anger into determination. All right, let it. If your eyes are red, but you're working with your attorney and just to keep you on track, like where to harness that lightning, then it's serving its purpose. If that anger is serving its purpose of not allowing him to have any power over you anymore, it's serving its purpose. It's when you want to, go after him with a nuclear bomb.
But
as enticing as it might be.
Now I know I can, because I can't. Like, first of all,
Yeah.
I'm not a crazy person. Never have been.
Never have been.
And I don't want to hurt anyone. I wouldn't get pleasure out of causing someone
Correct,
pain,
but
like, ever.
you've been driven to a point.
Yeah, that's the thing. When I
Been
get
driven
driven
to
to
a
that point,
Right.
I cannot promise. But it's not like I'm out of control. I always have control.
I hear you.
But
you don't want to repress it either. That's why native style, we don't repress it. We acknowledge it. We acknowledge there's a reason for this.
Mm-hmm.
And you give it a purpose and a direction.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'll give you an old Inca saying. There's an old Inca saying that says, live well, it proves your enemies have no power over you. You know what I mean? The American version is never let them see you sweat, but I like the Inca version better. You know what I mean? So you don't have to repress anything, because it's when you repress it is when it gets worse. But you say, you know what? I have every right to feel this way. I have been now pushed to move in this way, the dark side of the goddess. But now I'm going to channel all of this in the right way so I can accomplish justice and freedom, which is, by the way, and I hate saying it, he's now become your opponent, what your opponent doesn't want. So it doesn't matter what gyrations he's doing. Can he be outraged? Great. But from that outrage comes more determination. Do you see what I mean? And when you are saying, all my focus is justice and freedom, I could give a flying squirrel if he gets eaten by a goat. Sorry. Then people will see that you're being consistent with your actions. You know what I mean? You're not going out of your way to screw him over or want revenge. You say, yeah, she's just wanting what's fair. And just be transparent and consistent.
That's like all I ever wanted.
But that's
he
where you
wouldn't
put
work
it.
with me on that. So
No, because his
happened.
shadows came up, and again, you were forewarned about that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's his
What do you
karma.
mean, like by a medium? Like,
no, when I said to you when you were going to be coming to this that he will want to stop this and he will want to.
yeah.
So we're here.
Yeah.
So, and that's to say you're justified in your outrage. It didn't have to go this way at all. It doesn't have to be this way, but okay. So your shadows, let's talk about the shadows. Shadows are not, again, I'm going through Red Road teaching, are not the side that you have to repress or be ashamed of or what have you. They are the side of you that rises when something is not correct and doesn't know the right way, the proper way to resolve it, right? So that's what I said, your anger is correct. Your outrage is spot on. But when in the past, because your guardian says you've done a lot of work, so you're a lot better. But in the past, when it would just chew you up or that repression, that's incorrect. Because that causes more harm than good. But when you use this, again, the shadow, that side that rises up to respond to something that is not correct, and you give it a purpose and a direction, then that anger can turn into purpose. Do you see what I mean? Versus its own end. So hopefully that makes sense, what I'm trying to say. So yeah, that's how you get into harmony, because the hawk spirit is that he's really the enforcer of divine law. You know, and enforcers don't play nice. Right? They're not here giving flowers. So again, being consistent. Doesn't matter what he says, doesn't matter what he does. I'm just using it as one example. I'm being transparent and you're being consistent. So he can do or say whatever and your actions stand. See what I mean? And this is the hawk spirit. That hawk spirit is seeking justice. You know, it's taking the higher road in the sense of you're not going to be wrestling in the dirt because that point he's got you. It's that I'm going to be aggressive in seeking justice. I'm going to be aggressive in seeking my freedom. So you can either participate and you can go easily or not. End of discussion. But I'm going to continue going this way. Right? So that's why I think it's interesting, again, even with the Inca revenge, of I'm going to live well, even in the middle of this. You have no power over me. You know, the anger and everything that comes up, because it's more than just an emotion. You know, this is where you do things physically to release that tension. And this is part of that switching in dynamics, as I say, day by day. So on one day, it can be, you know, going out for a run. The next day, it can be sweating in a salt bath. But it's something that you're engaging your body and your senses to get it out of you. So that edge and the red eyes are gone, but that steel and the determination, like that sword, now has a direction. And this is how, in the native way, you turn poison into, again, something useful, you turn to sweet water. Because at that point, people can look at you and say, yeah, you're not, you could have every right to be gunning for him, but you're not. So, yeah. You see what I mean? And you're not even looking for people's approval. Here's your reputation. She just wants what's fair. See how these two work together, right? So with this, let's continue on with the others. So here, we go with the physical body. And the physical body is, we're trying to get into harmony. We're trying to get into harmony. But this is normal too. This is all part of it. Part of this is him, and also part of this is you. So let's talk about it.
I just want to clarify.
Go ahead.
The situation that I had with the soul retrieval, that was someone else outside of my marriage.
I know.
Okay. I know you know. I just wanted to make sure,
I
like,
appreciate
that
it.
whole, like, my husband is someone else. And
Correct.
we didn't really talk about him and how,
Right.
what's going on with that
Yeah.
before, so.
So here, what this talks about, again, points at coyote. Coyote talks about that hanging loose. Literally live ink of revenge. Feel good in your body. If you're uptight and nothing works, I know this is a post-COVID world, but it's a place, it's like get a massage, whatever, have fun, this sort of thing. So you're in your body. And even in your environment, making sure that you fill your environment with things that for you are beautiful, that are nourishing, is how to get this back into balance. Here, this is a double. One is you're very busy, and it's difficult to find the time. But also, too, this is also talking about interference from him. You can see, like, trying to head off and create interference like this. So in order to bring this into harmony, it's still the same thing. I know it seems counterintuitive. Creativity, playfulness, lightness of being, so that your shoulders can go back, so that when your allies see you, they can understand that you're not trying to eat them. That sort of thing. So this is learning to be in your body and creating personal routines that help you get you into your spirituality, get you into your body, to help get this into harmony. I like the fact that this is Earth Mother and where you're headed for. These two are in balance, which I like very much. So again, Earth Mother talks about the energy that you have, that you radiate, whether you're conscious or not, that causes for people and events to be attracted or to be rejected by you, right? And you're spot on. You can overthink things, right? So you're spot on. To a degree, our discussion today is to give you I'm going to say fine points, but you're already on the path. And it's interesting because, again, here we go. Everything is pointing to the red-tailed hawk. Following your passions, showing your fire, reclaiming your fire. Everything has been the element of fire with you. So with that, continue on with following your passions. Where you're headed for, again, red-tailed hawk, there will be justice, there will be freedom, there will be, I'm going to say, I feel like this exhilaration, like, finally, so this is really, if anything, this is meant to be like a tremendous encouragement for you, despite your self-criticism.
Yeah.
So any final questions or thoughts before we close, my friend?
No.
Yeah, I'm believing you.
Sometimes it's like I have Tourette's in my head.
No, that's okay. No, it's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, I guess, is there any bit of guidance from my guides? And I don't know. I really would love to meet them. I'm building up the courage to go through and try to do that.
Yeah, actually.
I feel like it's harder, like I'm making it harder for myself. I know that.
They say you overthink things.
I hold myself back for sure.
Yeah, but that's part of that inner child. That you know how the inner child was just open. Now you know how to protect her. Yeah. And you're going to learn how to be open. So step by step, you're doing it. You're beginning to see the synchronicities. You're using a lot of synchronicities with you.
I was. Now I don't know, because I see things all the time and it's like times and different things or just sensations or whatever. And it's like, okay, but that's everything all the time. And then I just think it's everything all the time anyway. So it's like I have trouble mostly functioning because I used to be a highly functioning person with a lot of heart and love, but I just had no idea. So then it's like, okay, well, now you know a little bit more. And it's like, okay, but now I don't know how to be me because I'm not me anymore. Like I can't be. I can't do the things that I did. It has to be different. It has to be a completely different person. But like I'm me and I'm okay.
But it's a different aspect. If you remember, you also have your shadow side rising as your warrior. Your warrior side is rising. And she's protecting the part of you that's discovering how to express yourself. That's what I'm saying to you. So stop, again, that judgment. I was a highly functioning person. You are. You're learning to walk again in a different way. And here's where I would throw the gauntlet at you. It's like, okay, say I restore you being the way that you were. We're going to end up here again.
Yeah, because I can't forget what I've like been exposed to. So then it's like I can't just live the way I lived.
Exactly, and that's when we went into the Buffalo's way of learning how to craft that life, which was the first part of it. So what I would say in closing is, if you find that, because they're trying to talk to you mostly through synchronicities and through visions, but mostly synchronicity. So if you find that it's just, again, like I said, everything is everywhere, then you can begin to say, hey guys, if there's no objection, this week I want to focus on, so let's pick one now. What would you like to focus on this week for them to make commentary on? Could be dealing how to deal with your warrior aspect if you like, whatever. So, and you can pick it when you're at home.
Right. Yeah, I'll turn into a warrior this week.
And just say, could you make commentary on the best way to, how I can channel this anger, like to really make it be good warrior energy.
Yes.
And show me synchronicities. Make it very obvious. All right, I'm not ignoring it, but I want this.
Yeah.
Highlight this for me. Repeat it.
Yeah.
And I always tease my team. Talk to me slowly and clearly and repeatedly until I can repeat it back.
Yeah.
And we've kept that standard.
It's like I have been asking to just be able to clearly hear and see. And it's like, it's funny because anyone I've ever spoken to is like, oh no, you are highly sensitive. Like you're very powerful. You can see them. And I'm like, I don't think I see anything. I question myself.
Well, yeah.
But I see things all the time. And then it's like, well, there's that. But like, I don't know what to say about all these little things.
Did you sign up for my intuitive
I did.
workshop for tonight?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yes.
We're in.
Okay, good.
So with that, I'm going to close with a blessing because we're going to have fun and we're in tonight.
All right, cool.
Alrighty, now we'll go there. So with that, I'm going to ask if you could put your hands over the stones like this. We'll finish with the blessing as well. Aho, it is said, and until we speak again, may the blessings of clarity of mind, freedom of spirit, and strength of the body be with you and those whom you love. Taina Ti, Danaho, Winishi. And I thank you so much. And again, the audience were saying that as far as with your life, even if I was one of the messengers, but also with others who are trying to give you signs and indicators where things are going. And they still will do the same thing, trying to give you signs and indicators. Okay, we're done. So I'll be seeing you, I guess, in short order.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good.
And there we have it. After the recording, I stuck around the shop and then started one of her classes, if you weren't able to pick up on that at the tail end there. But I did do an intuitive learning class with her to try to work with clairs and discover what is strong in a group session. And it was awesome, actually. I remember doing a telepathy exercise that I excelled at. So it's further proof of my telepathy capabilities, which I love. I know that that's for me personally. How I view the collective is that's a natural feature and it's coming back online for all of us. So I'm excited for that. And thank you so much for taking time to listen to this. I hope it provided you with some more insight. There's more to come. And I am also looking forward to having Eagle Skyfire on the show. So please do reach out. If you have questions, send them to me before the show so that I can ask her. If you have any specific questions for Eagle Skyfire, knowing that she's going to be on the show soon, please reach out to me and I'll be sure to ask her. Until then, I'll catch up with you next week. Take care. And enjoy this track by Stilo Free, Lights and Shadows.
Pressure made diamonds, lay back, smoking loud in the silence. It's all love, but no trust. Why you think I'm doing too much? Cause pressure made diamonds, lay back, smoking loud in the silence. I roll up and go up. Why you tripping, give me no love? Nowadays you don't gotta mind me. In the end I hope you really find peace. I had to set my mind free, I had to let my soul breathe. Moon sign Pisces, heart broke psyche. Angels all around me, but demons wanna fight me. Feel like I had to fight myself. No, I had to look inside myself. With a predisposition to addiction. Through the negatives, I'm still focused on the vision. It's sorta like that first scene you see in Pulp Fiction. I see the end, but it's really only the beginning. I had to find a way to be grateful for them locked doors that you may close. When doves cry, it's so painful, but the purple rain is so graceful. Cause pressure made diamonds, lay back, smoking loud in the silence. It's all love, but no trust. Why you think I'm doing too much? Cause pressure made diamonds, lay back, smoking loud in the silence. I roll up and go up. Why you tripping, give me no love? I'm fighting battles, lost between the lights and the shadows. Tryna shoot me down, I'm dodging all the ammo. Left me hanging, I escaped from the gallows. Swim through the ether, blowing on a reefer. Running like Rev when he rapped about Adidas. It's like my flow is heaven sent. My energy can shift the cards in your tarot deck. Life ain't always what it seems. An alternate reality, I'm living in a dream. I got the Stussy on the T with the 501 jeans. Ray-Ban Lokes with the Air Max 3s. Mandela effect, got me living my best. I gotta jump timelines when I'm living in stress. And a spliff in my chest, it got me lifting and blessed. Peace, you know the rest.